future years, the Emira might well be remembered as the last true Lotus sports car. Much is different here thanks to new brand owners Geely, but thankfully much about this car's driver-orientated design is also familiar too. If you're looking for the last gasp of addictive Lotus tyre smoke before the EV era finally dawns upon us, you'll find it here. Lotus cars have traditionally been created around a lightweight mantra that persisted all the way through the brand's history, right up to the point where the Evora was introduced in 2009. That car couldn't be especially lightweight as its power came from a rather substantial 3.5-litre Toyota V6, and the Emira is equally far away from the current class lightweight champion, the Alpine A110, because it uses basically that same Toyota engine. This features here in supercharged form, putting out 400 brake horsepower and 420 Newton meters of torque, which means it's good for 62 miles an hour in 4.2 seconds, en route to 180 miles an hour. There's a choice between a 6-speed manual gearbox, borrowed from the Evora and the Exige, or a 6-speed paddle shift auto transmission. The alternative to that unit is another borrowed engine, the 2-litre 4-cylinder unit sourced from Mercedes-AMG that we're trying here, specifically sourced from the A45S hot hatch. Here, this power plant puts out 360 brake horsepower with 430 Newton meters of torque and is only offered with 8-speed dual-clutch auto transmission. Performance of this i4 version is quoted at 62 miles an hour dispatched in 4.3 seconds, en route to 171 miles an hour. Neither of these affects steering, still of the old tech hydraulic kind, or suspension. The brand offers a choice of road-orientated touring suspension or a much firmer track-orientated sports setup. Either way, traction through the turns is awesome. Lotus claims the Emira can corner at up to 1.2 G. A V6 GT4 version is offered for extreme track series use. You can't expect the kind of fuel consumption figures we used to see from previous era lightweight Lotus sports cars. This one tips the scales at 1,440 kilograms. Compare that to the 1,105 kilograms of a rival Alpine A110. The result of that shows up in the efficiency stats, of course. In 3.5-litre V6 form, the Emira manages 25.2 mpg on the combined cycle and 258 grams per kilometre of CO2. Don't expect too much better than that if you opt for the alternative i4 4-cylinder 2-litre turbo version. Lotus quotes 25 miles to the gallon and a 208 grams per kilometre CO2 figure. We wish this is what the old Evora had looked like. The Emira is gorgeous, no question. If you choose it over its two main rivals, it'll be because you think it looks more exotic than a Porsche 718 Cayman, true, and more aggressive than an Alpine A110, also true. Once at the wheel, you sit low in front of an octagonally shaped wheel decorated with buttons that are all too easy to inadvertently knock as you turn it. For the first time in a Lotus, you start the car with a button, this one embellished with a red flap, and the column stalks are borrowed from fellow Geely brand Volvo. Ahead of you are two digital screens, one 12.3-inch display for the instruments, the other a 10.25-inch monitor in the centre of the dash for infotainment. Graphics are minimalist and climate functions are separated out into proper buttons. It's a better appointed, more luxurious cabin than you might expect from a Lotus, with an RT leather-on-metal gear selector, sports pedals and beautiful aluminium paddles for this satisfyingly grippy little 3-spoke wheel. Unlike the old Evora, there are no tiny 911-style rear seats, so you can squash luggage in the 208-litre space behind these front chairs. That's more space than you actually get in the boot, so you'll definitely need to pack light. It's just 151 litres in size and must also accommodate the tyre repair kit and warning triangle. It gets pretty warm in here too. So where does all that leave us? Well, with this Emira, the best was indeed saved until last. It isn't as light as an A110 or as relatively practical as that Porsche, but it's a proper Lotus, a future collector's item, and a car that gets that final ringing endorsement. Colin Chapman would have liked it.